Okay, so I think I've got all of my little punches done on the phone, and we're recording. Okay, so welcome everyone to, this is the August 9th Aquarius full moon telecall. And, we've got that miraculous 13 that we average out usually. Sometimes we get up to the 20 and beyond, but it depends. And people always log on later. And it's summertime, so people are trying to wind down vacations and so on and so forth. This is Mercury Retrograde still, actually for 2 more days. It turns direct on the 11th and 2 days on Monday. So I don't know how many of you have had challenging communication challenges, either with family, friends, coworkers, what have you, your car, your computers, your telephones, all of the basic things that continually, we end up having problems with. Fortunately, I have not had a lot of issues with those types of things. Oh, there's Carter. She logged on, Rachel. So, yeah. Okay, cool. So it's like, we've had all those challenges, and it's really been perfect that this retrograde has happened right now, because it's happened to let us have all this information, corrections before going into the fall eclipse series. And I was going to pre-talk about a little bit of that. Most people haven't been talking about that quite yet. But I mean, if you do watch some of the mainstream news, of course, you've seen just all sorts of wild things happening with, stuff between countries and world figureheads, leaders, whoever, the puppets that are put in place that play out the stuff to keep everybody, deeply immersed in the story, in the trauma drama, in the fear-based reality. And Rachel, as you were asking about, that's a huge part of the distortion. It's all it's false reality. It's the false timeline, and it's projected into the field. Of course, then you have the mass media machine that puts it out for everyone. And if you are not deeply grounded in your spiritual center, then you get caught up in the caca of that false reality matrix that's presented onto us and projected out, and then you get caught and stuck in that. So that's where a lot of people play, because they just don't know any better. I mean, we're conditioned into all of that, and it's pretty sad. But part of this retrograde, again, it's really been having an interesting function as far as the bigger dynamics of things that play out. And I mean, even though you may have a Trump and Putin meeting and this and then that one, it's, again, all of this is orchestrated. I mean, I can't stress this enough to everyone. And everyone's playing a part. Some people don't understand the bigger picture of the dynamic, but it's all to create fear-based reality. It's all here at this. We're closing down the Kali Yuga age. We're closing down all of the distortion has gone on for millennia. I mean, if you really go back and look at it, and it's frequency wars. Everything's a frequency, and as more people release themselves from the old storylines and the old distortions, then they're in the newer frequency, and at some point you're immune to anything that you hear in the external world. Now, that doesn't mean that you're not going to feel empathy for the atrocities happening in Gaza, and Gaza is no worse than all the enslavement and all the other stuff that's happening in other continents. I mean, Brazil, Chile, Peru. I mean, all the South American countries have so many challenges between the gang wars, the African, countries there, so many of the Pacific Island group. I mean, there's just so much distortion. China, I mean, all the Oriental countries that have so much deep enslavement. There's so many levels and layers to the distortion that we're attempting to pull ourselves out of. That's That's the thing. And as people wake up to what's happening around the globe and they realize there's no separation, that's when we really step into cosmic awareness. Well, actually, that's not really. It's cosmic, but it's more. You're not the only person on the planet. Kind of awareness, and for most Americans, and this is true for most countries. Whatever country you're in, they condition us to think we're in that box. I mean, this is all the European countries. That no matter where you're at, your reality is the box right in front of you. And as a general rule, a lot of people don't even get out of their towns and their provinces, wherever they're at, in the countries. They don't get the luxury of travel. Americans really are so spoiled and blessed to be able to do a lot of what we do, even though we are in a very deep type of enslavement. And all of that enslavement, the machine that holds that together is continually going through a disintegration where it's falling apart, the things that hold us together, to allow for new structures to come forth and build. And again, I've talked about the bigger patterns with that, the Saturn things with that. Who is this? Someone's texting. Awaiting telecall, only hearing music. Oh, no. Judy can't log in. So it's just it's a challenging time. At the same time, it's a very exciting time. It just depends on how much of your own transmutation and the personal stuff that you've been able to release and heal from. And let's see if I can send her this information again. Doesn't work. I don't know if any of the rest of y'all had a problem logging in with anything. Well, I can't select just that one thing. I'll screenshot it. I know, Andrea, you had mentioned that you had problems logging in at different times. You haven't mentioned it again, but I don't know, for some reason the calls are just, or the system won't load up. Been on hold for 17 minutes. She must have logged into another account. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get sidetracked. Let's send her the screenshot and see if that helps. Maybe. The wrong number. Okay. Okay, where was I? Yeah, so everything is going through death and rebirth process. And I've said this so many calls. Andrea Barres, Mercury Retrograde. Okay. Actually, I think it was the other Andrea Wyman that usually has problems getting in. I don't know what's wrong with this system. But yeah, so yeah, this is Mercury Retrograde. It's crazy. We had a call of people logging in one at a time too. I think like 3 or 4 months ago. It was weird. It was probably during that was Mercury Retrograde. But yes, so we're always going through constant death and rebirth processes every nanosecond, really, in truth. I mean, and it's happening even on a cellular level. So in the atomic and subatomic cells of your body, molecularly, your body is always responding to every type of stimulus that it's being fed. So, whether it's food intake, whether it's the air you're breathing, whether it's the water you're drinking, what you're watching on television. I mean, you're taking it in through your eyesight, whatever you're hearing. If you're living in a place that has a lot of noise, then your field is taking in the noise. There is no separation. And the dark has always known this. That's why they fill so much of the planet with all of these very challenging awful noises. I mean, if there's anything that they can make noisier, especially with machinery, and then you get a job in that, your body takes on those heavy, dense frequencies. Those things affect your cellular structure, just like vitamins and minerals that you're getting from food sources. The same is true for the music you listen to. I mean, people wonder what's wrong with these kids today, and they're listening to all this nasty rap and just dark, dank, whiny, whimpery music. I mean, you can't. You're a reflection of what you listen to, and I've said this so many times. It's like with country music in the last few decades. It's like poor, pitiful me, woe is the world. My wife left me to die. I mean, it's awful. I mean, and I know that sounds like a judgment. I don't mean it to be a judgment, but it's an observation. And if you continually listen to something, you're conditioning your cells and your body, and your cellular memory is being conditioned with whatever you're choosing to take in. And so, so Rachel, to answer your question, that all of these things are part of the distortion. And this is one of the things I always talk about. Spirit always brings up. Oh, good, Judy got in. Good. When Andrea Wallman says she's still having time. I don't know why some people have hard time logging in the calls. It's crazy. Well, we're up to 16. Cool. It's going to be a good day. So, some people may ask, okay, so all these distortions are happening. Lower frequency music, machines in our world, fear-based things with television and movies or whatever. But again, I mean, you have a choice on what you're going to let into your sphere. So that's where we're each stepping into mastery. And most people that are on this call, I mean, you've heard this for years with Judith, and then of course with me for the last year, almost and a half. It's like every nanosecond we're making a conscious choice or unconscious choice in how we're engaging ourselves. You always have a choice. And some people say they don't have a choice. But here's where this comes into personal mastery. I'm living this personally, so I can attest to it. Sometimes you're going through your day, and you may think, oh, I wish I could do so-and-so, or you have a memory of something and you think, oh, I'd love to see this on TV. So what's happening with that, it's a conditioned memory response. And if something made you feel comfortable in the past, then your soul feels drawn back to that. You go and you listen to it again, and you will continue the repetitive behavior because you're getting the same response. It's like the cellular memory, whether it's either in your mental body, your emotional body, even spiritual body. A lot of people are conditioned in spiritual habituation. Everyone that's conditioned to go to church on a Sunday morning, Sunday evening, and it was Wednesday evenings. I mean, especially with so many of the Protestant and Baptist and all the Methodist, all of the Americanized religious programs. They had people conditioned into certain time periods. And if you did not go along with those perceived rules, then, I mean, the group would look down at you and say, you missed Sunday morning. How dare you? What's better than God? Well, God is everywhere. God isn't just there in your little church building on a Sunday morning. I mean, God bless them. But again, that's the limitation. So that's the spiritual. Well, it's not spiritual. It's a religious programming. It's where spirituality gets hijacked. Where we allow someone else to dictate when we would go in and commune with Mother, Father, God, or Yeshua, and whoever you're, working with in that larger level. But in truth, again, there's no separation between us at any given point and Mother, Father, God, any of the masters, because the soul is eternal. So even when Yeshua came here, and he's been here many lifetimes in different forms, but when he came in as Yeshua, and then they claimed the Jesus story and projected that out, for the organized religious parts, saying, "Oh, Jesus died for your sins." Well, no, Jesus came to show you how to be. I mean, he did miraculous things because he had really cleared out all the densification. He really could do things that we perceive to be miraculous, but in truth, that's how every human really was designed to be in immaculate expression. And that's what we're returning to. So, there's plenty of people out there that can articulate this, and they have, and there have been many texts written about it, and more texts are coming out, the hidden texts of the Bible, especially the books of Enoch that are coming out. Judith, did many deep studies in the books of Enoch. And there was, what was it? The Keys of Enoch was a book J.J. Hertog put out. It's a very difficult read. I couldn't even get through it. Judith did it, but it's written in a very intense light language, and it's way out there. But it's still, it's good data, but it's a lot. But more and more of these things are going to be coming forth, and I think there's going to be a breakdown with the Vatican, I think, over time. I mean, we're already seeing it to some extent, but it's actually minuscule as far as to what really needs to happen. They have put away so much of the esoteric true knowledge, and I do think that these things are going to come out. I don't think they have a choice, because we're waking up to it. As more and more people demand to know, and I'm talking about deep heart knowing. I'm talking about Christic knowing, where they're deeply immersed in their heart. And as we continually go through Earth awakening, the soul, as it wakes up, the external world has to come meet us in frequency, which will mean that anything that's being held back from us in any shape, form, or fashion, the things that are holding those things back are going to continually disintegrate and fall apart, because the frequency is not sustainable anymore. And it's also, I think, going to be very indicative of how, if you've known people like over time, especially older people. I mean, many of the people on this call are older, but there's a few of you younger ones that are here. I'm 57. I think there might be maybe 2 or 3 of y'all younger than me. But because we've got this long time, we've got an observation of how people are evolving or not evolving in a spiritual sense, in the sense of soul progression. And I talk about that almost every single call, because that really is what we're doing. We are in deep soul progression, and that's what we came here to do. And again, 8 billion souls progressing. Again, I still question that number. I don't think there's 8 billion. I think it's blown up for many reasons, but it doesn't matter how many there are. The point is that people are waking up all around the world in their own different ways, and part of the distortion too, Rachel, is when we're born into all of the different cultures, we're born into the nationalities, we're born into these labels, and that's false reality. It's not true. At the end of the day, we're all part of the human race. I mean, you have to look beyond the projected separation. And when we do that, if you can look at any human being on the planet, I don't care who it is, even Putin, even what's his little face, the little North Korean guy, and China's Jinping, and I don't care who it is, Trump. It just doesn't matter. The Biden. It doesn't matter if they're Democrat or Republican. Every soul came here to experience whatever it is experiencing, and I call it an it, to try to go away from the gender thing, because a soul is not a gender. A soul does not have an identity. The identity is projected onto us when we come in here into an incarnation. This is part of the way that they're attempting to distort all the gender identity stuff that's happening now. Now, a lot of souls do come in here, and they don't necessarily identify as just the male or female identification, because they're more they come here from a holistic space. So, I mean, even though you may have, a physicality that's either male or female in expression, the actual soul knows itself as a divine masculine and feminine mixture, because they're seeing themselves beyond the separation of even gender. And again, part of this is the way we're conditioned. Part of it is the way that when all these dark races came in, the Alpha Draconians and the Greys, and I mean, we've been messed with so much with the DNA. It's one of the reasons why, especially in the reptilians, we went through such distortion in the divine human expression. And so I'm not going to go into all those things, but again, part of me is sitting here wondering, it's like, why is Spirit going into all this? But I'm like, okay, it's bigger picture stuff tonight, not just the small astrology. So if you look at it, though, from the astrology standpoint, I mean, I can even tie the astrology into it, because it's been, for a couple of you, I think a couple of people on the call that haven't heard the astrology part, so I'll go into that a bit, because it really is a reflection of what we're doing as a mechanics, through the astrological the mythology projection onto humanity, individually and collective. Yeah, that's what it is, the projection. Okay, let me pull up on my computer here. Okay, so here's this full moon. It's at 1659 Aquarius, which basically may as well just say 17 degrees. But at 1659, it's still 16 degrees. It's not at 17 yet, but you're going to feel the energy within 3 to 4 degrees of the moon. Okay. When I went through to go look at the different signs to see what was actually activating it, the traveling, what doesn't travel, the North Node point, which always goes in retrograde. The North Node is what we're doing, as a purpose, our evolution. We're going toward the North Node. That North Node is backing up through Pisces. That node is sitting on 18 degrees, which is only 2 degrees away from the 17 degrees of Aquarius. So that means it is in a semi-sextile. Semi-sextiles, it's only half of a sextile, so it's not really workable energy. A lot of the astrologers say that a semi-sextile, because it's right next to each other, they don't see each other. So they're more like an aggravation, but I think the energy still, it's active, but it just means it's more difficult. And the Centaur Nessus, which really, there's many ways that people talk about Nessus, but the biggest thing is forms of abuse. That can be sexual abuse, abuse of power, power over. It can be personal. It can be professional. It can be, through countries. Again, any type of abuse. It can also have positive attributes depending on its placement in people's charts. But because you've got Nessus with the North Node, I think we're having to deal with abuse. Well, obviously, if you look at the world, that's going to be affected. A semi-sextile to this moon, I think, is going to have let's just call it irritations. So anyone that is in abuse of power, which of course would work in the political world, and you may find this in your business, places of work. It can be in your family dynamics. You may see people that are used to getting their own way, who control and manipulate their circumstances. If you know anyone that constantly feels like they've got to have, like they know everything, like they are going to set the rules for everything, or they're going to plan everything. A lot of people, they can't handle living in life if someone else is making the plan. It's like they have to control every single nanosecond of their life, and that's part of Nessus. And again, there's no judgment in any of this, but if you do know people like this, it comes from conditioning. It's part of that inner core wound. We get it through the genetic and ancestral inheritance, and culture. Our culture, wants us to be, quote, successful, and a lot of people that are successful get there because they have manipulated their circumstances and people under them to get to where they are. And I mean, especially in Western cultures, that's it's social clowning. Social and political climbing. It's to get to the top of that pyramid. It's like, but you get to the top and then what? It's like, it really is not, it's not worth what you think it is. And so anyway, so you've got that as a semi-sextile. Going backwards, the semi-sextile. The other way, there's not really anything in Capricorn at 16, 17. Sagittarius, not really anything there. Scorpio. I'm going to wait for Scorpio. I'm going to do Scorpio last. There's a lot going on with Scorpio. Okay, so let's go to the Aries. Aries ends up, the big thing in Aries right now is the Saturn Neptune ingress that happened earlier this year, and they've come a couple degrees on into Aries, helping us create the new dream, create the new vision. What do we want? Saturn is here to give it structure. Both of those planets turn retrograde in July. They're slowly retrograding back. They will go back into Pisces. And what's happening is they're giving us a taste of the new dream. This is happening individually and collectively. So, but it's also happening on both sides. Neptune is that it's the dream. It's the new everything we're creating. 160-year pattern of this. This is brand new. But it's also the delusion. It's the false reality. It's that so as above, so below. It is the reflection. Imagine that. I've never actually mentioned that one before. Neptune is the reflection of the inner dream and the outer dream. But it's also the distortion of the dream. So as it enters Aries, it's attempting to give us a new way to look at the world. Again, 160-year pattern is when we change these things through, when it comes to the beginning of the zodiac. Saturn to give it structure. They don't usually coincide at the same time. So the fact that they've both been at 0 Aries at the same time, this is huge. Humanity has not lived through this. I don't think. I'm trying to remember if anybody ever went to go back and look at that. Maybe Jennifer Hoffman might have. I don't know how many hundreds of years it would have been since this happened. But anyway, what's going to happen is Saturn and Neptune are going to go back into Pisces to revisit the old life and see if there's anything we forgot. Saturn is going to go back into there like September the 1st or the 31st of August. So that's coming up at the end of this month, three weeks from now. That's going to happen 1 week before the fall eclipses. The first fall eclipse is going to be on September the 7th. Neptune will still be in Aries, retrograding for those eclipses. But then it's going to stay in Aries until the 21st of October. So for about 2 weeks well, I'm sorry, about a month after the eclipses, Neptune is still going to be in Aries, feeling whatever happened with the eclipses. Then it's going to dive back into Pisces. Saturn and Neptune won't make it back into Aries until mid-February of next year. So your new dream, actually everyone's new dreams, individually and collectively all across the planet, because we're all processing this in our own unique way. We won't be done with that journey until we go back through, this recheck back into the old dream. Pisces is the old dream. So we've got all that going on. So that is all at like 0, 1, 2 degrees of Aries. This moon is 16, 17 of Aquarius. That is a half square. It's 45 degrees. So those are challenging. So this moon being half squared to Saturn, Neptune in a retrograde in Aries, I think are going to bring up, and of course the moon represents our emotions. It represents, and again, individually and collectively. So it's the emotional body, and it's a full moon. Now it's in Aquarius. That one's not in Scorpio. So I mean, it's not like we're going into sexual deep stuff or the deviant this or whatever else. I mean, Aquarius is pretty, the age of Aquarius. We're in the age of Aquarius, but that's a challenging aspect. I prefer to look at it as an invitation to go in and do the inner work regarding Saturn, how we want to build the new dream, because it is an Aries. It's aspecting us right now, but it's happening. Where are we at here? It's happening 1 month before the eclipse. So we've got one more moon cycle that's going to happen before we get to the first fall eclipse. So the timing of this really is perfect, because this is the last moon we're going to have before the next moon, which really opens up the eclipse window, because the moon before the actual eclipse happens actually is kind of the opening point. And so, but what you're doing now, actually when I wrote this in the email, I was noticing this because I wrote from the last email. So the previous moon that we had was a new moon at 2 degrees of Leo. Leo is how we project ourselves into the world. It's the lion. It's how you roar in the world, but it's at the beginning. So we're kind of formulating what we want to create in our world, again, individually and collectively. And I know it's hard when you look at the outer world of form to think that people are trying to, see a new creation, but it's there, it's formulating, even though some people are still trying to create in the old way of reality. But this moon in Aquarius really is, now I wouldn't make any movements now because Mercury is still in retrograde, but the next 2 weeks, use this time period to start feeling into how you want to initiate any change in your life. Full moons usually are releasing, and this one is still releasing. So, don't really, jump into it yet, but you can really start moving forward, I think, after this, retrograde gets clear. And might even want to wait for the shadow. Of course, that's another few days. But as long as it's going forward, you should be okay. To start. If you've thought about doing something, go ahead. Make the calls. Do deep research into it. Go ahead, initiate it. Maybe later this week or next week coming up. Start to go in toward the new dream. Now, Neptune and Saturn are still in retrograde, but that's okay. Retrogrades, use them to your advantage, because what they're doing, it's going on an inward journey. It's like if you're going forward in movement, but you've got retrograde motion planets, they're taking you inside, especially the outer planets. The personal planets, which are basically, you've got the Sun, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Mercury, Venus, Mars. Yeah, those are all the personal planets. Those affect how we see the world, how we take action in the world, how we communicate in the world. But everything else, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. I still count Pluto. It's a planet. I don't care what they say. I mean, they call them Plutinos now. But all of those things affect the deepest aspects, I think, of who we are in transformation. And when we're experiencing something in life that's challenging, all it's doing is taking you to your core. And I think that the outer planets really are a reflection of those kinds of things, especially if you get major aspects with them. So, and again, I mean, the reason I go into that is because this really is kind of a big deal to have a square and a half on Saturn, Neptune to this moon, but it's workable. So go in and work with it. The next part to that, though, in Aries, Ceres really is kind of it's a nurturing energy. It's how you want to nurture in the world. That is at 16 Aries. That is an exact sextile, which is workable energy. It's not a trining energy. Trine is the most flowing energy, but sextiles are still great energies. Ceres goes retrograde on the 11th, the same day that Mercury goes retrograde, and it's, again, 16 Aries. So if you've got planets around there, that's really it's hitting on my Progress Vesta, it's hitting on my Saturn, it's hitting on my North Node, it's hitting on my Akashi asteroid. 1651 is Akashi, the Akashic Records. I never knew that was an asteroid before until I found it. I was like, okay, this is cool. But Ceres going retrograde, again, that's going to take us in. And Ceres moves more than a lot of things. I'm trying to remember. I think that's part of the asteroid belt, that's right around with, Jupiter, between that and Saturn. So it's a closer planet. So it's really affecting us. And the fact, that it's in Aries and sextiling this moon, that's really workable energy. So you can go in and find new ways of nurturing yourself in every aspect of your life. I think it's very workable. Chiron, of course, is still in Aries. Chiron and Eris, and actually Oki Rose Centaur are all together, and those are 25, 26. So they're really not affecting this moon per se. Okay, so let's see. What else is it, 16, 17? Nothing in Taurus really affecting this moon. Yeah. Priapus has just come across that. That's basically like the male counterpart of Lilith, but it's not really in an aspect. I don't feel like. There's really nothing in Gemini. That's kind of wide open. Cancer. Jupiter's at 13 Cancer. So it's like a 3-degree orb away from, let me see, Aquarius and Leo. Okay, Cancer's a quincunx. So Jupiter basically would be in a challenging aspect, but it's 3 degrees away. So I don't think that's going to be as big of a challenge, I don't think. Now Leo, this was interesting when I saw this last night when I looked at the chart. So when we have a full moon, the sun is in the opposite sign. So this moon is a 16 Aquarius, 16, 17 Aquarius. So at 16, 17 Leo, you've got the sun. Right next to that is the asteroid Gregory. It makes me think of Pam Gregory. So Pam Gregory's last name is sitting there with the sun on this full moon. So I find that very interesting. And she's very deeply immersed into the energy of all of these things, all astrological. But right next to her name, and I don't think this, again, is any mistake, is the fate Lachesis. I'm trying to remember, there's 3 fates. One is Atropos, one is Clotho, and one's Lachesis. I think Lachesis, let me see. One is the it writes the thread of the time period. I think Atropos cuts it. It's like the cutter of time. So a lot of times if you have these fates come across, and it cuts. I mean, it can bring physical death even sometimes, I think. And then let me see. I'm going to have to pull it up. It's going to drive me nuts. Lachesis. Okay. Yeah. Lachesis it symbolizes fate, destiny, and the measurement of life events. So Lachesis measures the lifespan of the concept of whatever it's hitting. It indicates where the significant life events may feel preordained or inevitable. Lachesis also represents interruptions or evaluations at critical points of life, reflecting on the progress of endeavors and potential for change. So, taking that into account here, that is on Pam Gregory's last name asteroid, which is sitting on the sun, which is in opposition to this moon. So, again, I'm not a professional astrologer. Oh my gosh, and what's funny, just 3 doors down from Lachesis is the Judith asteroid at 12 Leo. That is so funny. And the Judith asteroid is sitting on my natal Clotho of fate. Okay, I'll have to talk to a real astrologer and find out what that means. You can't make this stuff up. It's so funny. And this sun just happens to be on my natal ascendant. Our ascendant is what we're aspiring to or what we're coming from. So the sun is lighting up my ascendant. So obviously it's going to do something for me. Oh, and it's on my progressed first name exactly. And so is the Gregory asteroid. Oh my gosh. And Tesla asteroid. And Astro Wizard. Okay, so I guess that's why the astrology is right here. Anyway, all of that is an opposition. Oppositions are the next, they may be as powerful as conjunctions because they're in complete polar opposite. Conjunctive energy, that's going to be the strongest because it's just sitting right on top of each other. Anyway, so that's the opposition point of the moon. When we go into Virgo, okay, that's an interesting energy. So at 1617 Virgo, that's going to be another quincunx. That's challenging energy. The South Node is traveling, again, retrograde. So the South Node takes us back to past life, it's karma, it's anything, we're still trying to deal with. And obviously humanity, if you look on a big group, we're dealing with a lot of our past life crap. And this moon is going to be taking us into it with a hard quincunx aspect. It's 150 degrees. 180 degrees is the opposite, and 150 is the quincunx, or inconjunct, they call it sometimes. It's both. But right there at 18 degrees, which is only 2 degrees away, Aphetus is another centaur. Atropos, the other fate, is at 20. So it's 3 degrees away, but it's all right there. And the Waldemuth Lilith, which is, it's another version of okay, so for the ones that haven't heard this before, because a couple of you on the call that are newer, Lilith is that expression. I find her to be the divine expression of divine feminine. I think she got hijacked like Mary got hijacked, Jesus and Mary. I think that they tried to make her a prostitute, and that's really false. But the way it plays out in astrology, there's different Lilith archetypes, and Waldemuth Lilith, I'm trying to remember if that one has a dark sexual connotation to it. I'm not going to say because I don't remember. Anyway, but all of those things are sitting on top of each other in Virgo. And Virgo, it's more about the virgin energy. It's virtuous, and it's all workable energy. That just happens to be sitting right on my Pluto and Pallas Athena and my Gaia Earth asteroid, my portal to heaven, Porta Coeli, heavenly portal asteroids. The asteroids are really crazy fun. And it's not really, Uranus is farther away. But anyway, but Pluto, it's my death and transformation point. And that is in a 3-degree kind of a quincunx energy. So I'm going to be working, I guess, with some of that. I don't know what it looks like. Okay, so that's that. Libra, there's not really any energy there working with anything. Okay, so that leaves what I wanted to leave is last, which is Scorpio. Scorpio to, let me see, Aquarius. Okay, Capricorn, Semi, Sagittarius, yeah, Scorpios are squares, okay, to Aquarius. So at 16 and 17 in Scorpio, it's a traffic jam. I've talked about this before, and I'm really getting close to this video, I think. I've got almost all the transits for the 2026 year, which is all of next year. I've almost got them in, and I wanted that in before I actually do this huge video presentation on this spreadsheet. But this square to this moon is sitting right in the middle of the vortex of oscillating Lilith. And I've talked about her now for the last few months. And but what's happening right at that degree, I'm going to tell you what's piled up there, and it's no coincidence. I always say this. So you've got Juno of partnering at 18. You've got Vesta at 16. Vesta is like your house and home. It's, you know, like the hearth and home kind of energy. It's I don't know. It's self-building. So that's only 2 degrees away from Juno, which is partnering. It's the marriage asteroid. But again, it's all partnering. So I want to take you away from limitation in how you look at partnership. Just because most astrologers look at it as, oh, you may get married on this. Well, that's nice. But it's also the way you partner with every single human being. It's all partnering. But it's also how you partner, imagine, with spirit. It's a partnership. Well, it's not really a partnership because you are spirit. There's no separation. But it's how we work with and partner with. So you've got that energy. Again, this is squaring this moon. You've got that with Vesta. Also sitting on that is the Narcissus at Centaur. Narcissus just went direct on August the 3rd, so just 6 days ago. We all know about Narcissus. Narcissists, that's really where it comes from. Narcissus as a Centaur was very narcissistic. So, I bring this up for this reason. Again, this is individual and collective energy. Look out into the world at the narcissists. Who are they? Politically driven people. Who are they? I'm not going to put any names in here. We're going to stay away from all that, but just observe the world. This energy, and this is squaring this moon, this narcissistic energy. Now, Narcissus was going retrograde, so there was reviews in the narcissistic observation of expression for humans, individually and collectively. But we're going to see how this plays out because now Narcissus is now going direct. Narcissus does not move fast, and it's going to stay around this degree for a while. I mean, it's going to move slow. So, and again, Scorpio, secrets, sexual energy, all these things. So when you look at the outer world and you look at all these things that are happening, you know, the Epstein stuff with all the, you know, Jeffrey Epstein, you know, you got Ghislaine Maxwell. I mean, those are big names and one's dead. So it's like, but I mean, we're going to have themes around all of this narcissistic energy. And that Narcissus is only 2 degrees away from Juno. It's sitting on Vesta. Next to it is the Black Moon Lilith average. And I don't really use that. Most astrologers are using it, but I've explained it's the oscillating Lilith that's most important because it's the actual placement. And she oscillates, just vacillates back and forth through a sign, back and forth, actually even between signs, with her path within a month. Back and forth, forward retrograde motion, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Actually, she doesn't move. She's a point on the ecliptic because she's actually she's the moon's apogee, which is the farthest point from the moon, and then Priapus is the perigee, the closest point to the earth. And again, she is the divine feminine energy. And if you look at, you know, Lilith in the mythology, you know, with Adam and Eve, well, Lilith was one that got put over because, you know, Adam decided to go after Eve and got all the sin projection crap. But Lilith really was the divine feminine, still is the divine feminine. That never changed. There was this whole projection, though, to make Lilith the, demon, dark, whatever else. But when you go and you start working with Lilith energy, she will show you the depth of divinity in your potentiality and how you work things through. Now, the reason I bring that up is because right next to that, her average point is part of all this energy. That average point is at 15 Scorpio, so it's only like a degree away from this moon as a square. Right next to that is interpolated Lilith, another Lilith. And so the interpolated Lilith, the polarity moves, it's like, it kind of goes along with the Black Moon Lilith average, but it's got a different kind of connotation to it, which actually I don't remember what it is. But the point is, you've got all those things lined up. Right between Vesta and Juno at 17 degrees is an asteroid called Jonathan Murray. You can't make this stuff up. So I actually have 3 versions of names that I go by in asteroids. There's a Johnny asteroid, that's how I grew up, a Johnny. Then there's John, how I'm actually born. And I go by John with, a lot of my original family friends. That's how I was at school. In New Orleans, I'm mostly Jonathan. And the fact that Murray is a hyphenation on that name, it's also my hometown where I grew up here in Kentucky. You can't make this stuff up. So I'm literally in Juno, Vesta, Narcissus energy with the Black Moon, Lilith, and the interpolated Lilith. All this energy has me right in the middle of it. So I guess I can articulate this stuff. Now, what's interesting about this, that the placement in Scorpio is only, it's not close enough to make any difference, but it's not far away from that full moon that I talked about on May the 12th at 22 degrees Scorpio. And I remember I've told you in many calls, we're going to always come back over this moon point, and it's critical for our soul evolution this year. All of these planetary, or asteroids, most of them, are going to, where did it go? I hit the wrong key. Shoot. Okay. I hate when I do that. Okay, here we go. Okay, so all of these points I just mentioned, Juno, Vesta, Narcissus, my asteroid. Actually, Narcissus won't because it moves slow. But Vesta, my asteroid, and Juno are all going to approach that full moon point as we dive into the oscillating Lilith path. And they're going to cross that point at the end of this month, like around, let's say, August the 26th to the 31st, before they dive into the eclipses coming up. So all this energy, Juno partnering energy, Vesta, me, I guess, and this Lilith energy are going to dive into the eclipses together. They're squaring this moon currently. So whatever's happening for you around this moon that's squaring anything in Scorpio, if you've got things pretty much anywhere along Scorpio, but especially those center degrees, it's getting some sort of activation. And it can feel challenging. It doesn't have to feel challenging, but because Juno is there, it can be challenging your partnerships. This could really be blowing up, I think, a lot of people's, all sorts of relationships. So, and all of that is going to go through the eclipse energies coming up. Like I said, on September the 7th will be the first eclipse. Now, they start splitting apart and get into the later part. They get in the later part of Scorpio. But, again, all these things happening in Scorpio is doing a deep dive into hidden, secretive, sexual expression, places that we don't want to see, but especially a lot of secrets. And because it's squaring this moon, I think you're going to have a lot of secret stuff come up within the next 2 weeks. And again, timing is perfect because it's all happening before the eclipses. Eclipses always represent huge times for beginnings and endings, always. A lot of death usually around eclipses. The energy is very intense. This eclipse energy, I'm not going to go into it right now because I'm just looking at this chart. It's intense. That does not mean it has to be a bad thing. I'm just saying there's a lot happening in there, and I will talk about that in future calls. So, again, that's kind of what's happening, as an astrological with this energy. Let me see what's in Sagittarius. Not really anything right in Sagittarius. It's pretty clean and clear. In Capricorn, yeah, there's nothing within 5 degrees, so I'm not going to go with those. Yeah. Okay. Actually, with this moon, though, a couple things I did not mention. Actually, with Aquarius, the Centaur Shericlo, which is actually the pairing for Chiron, is within 3 degrees of this moon, and Chiron Shericlo is retrograde. So she's working with this moon. She's a very healing energy. She really works with Chiron, to really take us in, I think, into healing divine expression. That's what I feel with her. But also, just 2 degrees away is Pallas Athena, and Pallas Athena is retrograding, working with this. But so between both of those divine feminine energies working with this moon, I do think that we have a lot of heavy potential for healing things to happen for us and with us. And that moon actually happens to be 2 degrees away from my descendant. So, that's taking me into deep relationship quadrant, which in my progressed moon is 2 degrees away from that. So, yeah, so that's my emotional expression. And Gong Gong is right there, so that's very interesting. And not to be left out, there's a Yosef, Yeshua ben Yosef. That asteroid's at 14.5. So it's there. It's workable with all this energy too. So anyway, so that's kind of the astrology. There's a lot going on with this moon. It's complex, and it really is leading us up to. I'm trying to remember. Let's see, that's the 9th. I'm trying to remember which moon. What's the next moon cycle we're hitting? Okay, August 23rd is going to be a new moon at 6 Virgo. Yeah. That's an interesting placement. I thought the sun would be on that. Oh, maybe it's at 0 Virgo. I'm sorry, it's at 0 Virgo. Because that's where the sun is. At noon, it happens to be at 6, but the actual moon itself is at 0 Virgo. Oh, wow. I hadn't even looked at that. There's nothing really sitting with that particular new moon, because, that's when the sun and the moon are together. But it's at 0 Virgo. So, that's like, talk about going into your virgin expression. Wow. Okay. I haven't heard anybody talk about that yet. Well, I just haven't watched a lot of videos. So, yeah, the next one's going to be really interesting. Okay. Yeah. So that's going to be really fun. Okay, I feel like I've just gone all over the place. Again, so that's the astrology of this moon. Some challenging energies with it. At the same time, I think it's all very workable energy. And it's workable because of the fact that we've got a square to the Lilith vortex. I call it a Lilith vortex because she's going back and forth through Scorpio. And she's going to come across this degree, several times through the rest of this year. And So she's retrograded over this point at the end of July. She's going to go back over this point again coming up around the 18th of this month. Yeah. But again, I mean, she represents divine feminine energy to me, and for all of us, I think. So think about for yourself. Again, this is always about self-reflection on this call, I feel like. What's coming up for you? Are there places where you feel stuck? If you're stuck, are you feeling stuck in your mind? Is there some place where you're thinking about what you want to do, but something doesn't feel right, or doesn't appear right in your mind? But then going deeper, when you go to your heart, is there something that doesn't feel right? Or is there something that you're just in such deep excitation that you're like, oh my gosh, I have to go do this. I have to do this. That's what you want to go do. Or if there's something that you are sitting there and you're like, oh my gosh, I dread this. I don't want to do this. Go do that. It doesn't matter. Whatever it is you're feeling, if you're feeling distressed, if you're feeling excitation, whatever it is, go toward whatever the deepest, most overriding feeling is. If it's something that's going to take you to something you don't want to do, that's how you're going to get to your core. And that's what you're here to go heal in this particular moon cycle. If you are stressed out, if you are, even if you can be just feeling lost. If you're just lost, just be in the lostness. Judith would always tell us, if you're just lost, go be lost. Go be lost. You don't have to know anything. And that's the other good part of stepping into your own mastery, is if you just stay in that lostness, you don't have to do a damn thing. I mean, yeah, you still have to pay bills, and you got to make sure everything's current. You don't want to get kicked out, for whatever your circumstances are, But attend your life to the extent that you can, but also give yourself the grace of nurturing, so that you can still work on the healing process. We're never done with the healing process. Never. Well, I guess until we are. People do heal. You don't have to stay stuck on the same story. If you've got, family traumas and dramas still going on, again, that's part of the distortion that we're leaving. I talk about this stuff all the time. And I have a feeling most of you on the call aren't in those spaces anymore. And yet we're still, as long as we're here in these human monkey suits, there's still going to be places where you're drawn to an old story, either through the energy that's tied into, stuff in your home, things you inherited from your parents, family, whatever. Again, everything is a frequency. And if you're still holding on to things that have distorted frequencies or trauma frequencies, sad, depressed feelings of that kind of energy histories. And again, here's the other part to this. We have the power to change our perception of reality, even with regards to the material world that's in our lives. Just because you may look at something and always have a bad memory tied to it, or a sad memory, or grief, whatever, rewrite the story. Rewrite the way you perceive the object. Rewrite the energy of whatever it is you're carrying. You really are that powerful of a creator. And that's part of what this Aquarian moon, this full moon, can be good for. Go and release any place you're still stuck. You're that powerful. We really have unlimited potential in creation. It does not matter what anyone else is creating out there. Yes, we're still in the big blue ball. Everybody's creating in the field. Actually, to go do a little revisit on the morphogenetic field. Rupert Sheldrake, if you're ever curious about doing some research on the morphogenetic field, Rupert with a P, Sheldrake. He's written several books on it, but imagine that the field is always malleable. The field is always responsive to you and your thoughts and your feelings, but it's also responsive to everybody else's thoughts and feelings. There's no separation in the field. None. And you may question, well, how can I change the field by changing? Well, change you and you change the field. But you have to be literally, seriously, deeply immersed in your own cosmic heart, and you're tied into the cosmic heart of God as an expression, as a feeling, as a deep knowing. When you do that, the field has to come meet you where you are. Always. I'm now in an observation mode. I'm kind of sitting here and I'm looking back down on myself and I'm talking. I hear myself talking, but I don't know what I'm saying. This is kind of when Spirit just takes over and I'm talking about something and I have no idea what's coming forth. I say this all the time and it's true. I have no idea. I don't make notes for these calls. I don't have any idea what I'm going to say at any given point. It just comes forth and there it is. But it's really weird when I go into it like a moment where it's like a deja vu moment, and I'm talking. I know I'm talking, but I don't know what I'm saying. And then I catch myself and I observe myself back, and it's like, ooh, that's weird. So, yeah. Anyway, so I hope that helps give you a little bit of clarity on how to use this moon energy. What's here, what's working with. If you know your own astrological chart, obviously that's really good. So if you know where you've got placements of things, it may actually help you guys to actually just print yourself up a chart where you know all the placements, like your sun is at so-and-so degrees of Aries or Leo or Capricorn or Aquarius or Pisces, Cancer, whatever, where your moon is, where all the planets are. If you know where all those things are as a list, and I talk about these things, and some of you don't want to follow that, and that's perfectly okay. But if you are curious and you really want to feel into, why you have a certain feeling about something, or why something's challenging, or why something really is flowing really wonderfully, you can follow along with these things. You can kind of, put it together, as I'm going through these things. So yeah. Okay, is there anything else Spirit wants to go into before we just go into the meditation? Nope. I just get nope. So, yeah. Well, that was good. That was just a little over an hour. I never imagined where I was going to go with any of that. And again, so do try to read some of the stuff that I sent in the email. And Rachel, if you want to, you can email me if you'd like to be on the email list of stuff. If Carter hadn't already given you my email address, it's boyonthego, one word, BOYONTHEGO @AOL.com, and I can just add you on to the email if you'd like to receive those in person. But yes, so okay, if you're not in your nice and comfy space, I invite you to go hop in the bed or lay out on the couch, or if you got the recliner that just goes back and deep, cushiony, soft Connolly leather. Well, Connolly's in a Rolls Royce. But you could have it. I guess you could have a home recliner with Connolly leather. One of my cousins, she and her husband actually just bought a big old motor home, one of these huge Newmar things. They're not cheap, but oh my gosh, it's like a Rolls Royce motor home. I've never seen anything like it. It is the most comfortable thing I think I've ever sat in, and I mean it's just like every bell and whistle. And but I mean, it's one of those things where if you can make it, or if you can dream it, they can make it. And it really is true. And it doesn't stop. Let's see here. What else did I get rid of? Okay. Yeah, so just as I'm sitting here moving around, I hope not to agitate y'all too much. I'm trying to get over to my couch. Yeah, so just get really still, close your eyes, and release your mind from thinking of all the stuff it stresses over or worries about. Now, I have not listened to any of the videos that I sent you. I haven't listened. Well, actually, I think I listened to Kathy Beals. I have not listened to Pam Gregory yet, and I've not listened to Rick Levine on August yet. I just have not had a chance. I mean, they're always very good. I mean, I don't question anything that they've shared. And a lot of stuff I didn't read yet. I mean, I've read a couple of them through, but I never send you guys anything that I don't have complete confidence in the stuff. Okay, so just get really still. We're going to go do some deep clearing and healing. This moon, again, because it's a full moon, it's about releasing. So if you have anything that you are concerned about, if you're worried about this or that, or it doesn't matter what it is, throw it into the fire. Just imagine a fire, imagine Saint Germain and the violet flame there for complete transmutation, and just release it. The fire will absolutely burn it. Just completely, it'll just disintegrate it. Fire is one of the most amazing tools that we have. And it can be just a feeling of fire. But, when you have the violet flame, I mean, that's one of the most transformative things that I've ever, that I guess I really use all the time. Judith always used to pull on the violet flame, Saint Germain and the violet flame. And for a couple of you that I don't think have been on before, this would be good to share with you too. There's some books that are part of the Ascended Masters teaching group out of Mount Shasta with Werner Schroeder and that group. And they always talk about all of the different masters and more esoteric knowledge on creation energy-wise. And so when I go in and do this kind of work, I don't always name everything else when I go in. It's kind of like, when people do meditations and prayers, they'll call in, Jesus, God, whatever. And so this is how I call in. I always call in Mother, Father, God, because you have to have divine masculine and the divine feminine together. Nothing gets birth without the divine feminine. And then I always call in every ascended master through infinite presence. I call in the entire archangelic kingdom. I call in the 7 mighty Elohim, builders of form. They're the ones that are in charge of all of the form building, how we build structure in the esoteric, in the imaginal, invisible world, beyond all the stuff that we perceive to be in physicality. It's like the building blocks behind the blocks. Let's call it that. And then, of course, we have all of the elemental kingdoms, which all make up all the different elements that make up everything that makes up everything on the earth plane. And then I always call in Saint Germain and the violet flame. I always call in the diamond Christ light. and the 12th golden ray, which I don't know why I just always have. So when you pull in all of that, and here's the other thing, you're never separate from any of these, ever. Ever. There's no separation. And when you start playing with these, and you start calling in all these energies, and you don't have to name off every ascended master, because they're all in attendance. You'll have a feeling of different ones that may come through to you, different ones that want to work with you. And so it may be Yeshua, it may be Kuan Yin, it may be Metatron, it may be Raphael, Uriel, Michael, any of them, it doesn't matter. Okay, so, and for anyone that's not used to it, you just get really still and just follow your breath and place your awareness in your heart. Again, if anything in your mind wants to come through as noise, just let it come through. Just let it go. Just don't attach to it. And don't stress over it. These frequencies that we're working with are really very advanced these days. And your capacity to carry these frequencies has grown exponentially every single time we do the call. The capacity for your body, your 4-body system, well actually 5-body if you count the etheric blueprint, for you to return back to your divine programming, that potentiality is very high, and it constantly increases in the frequency every time we do this. Because as we change, again, the outer world of form changes to come meet where we are. And some calls I go in and we talk about each of the different sub-levels and layers of the body and physicality. I may do that again to really give us a good spring, well, not we're in spring. Let's call this a late summer cleaning. Going in before we go into the eclipses. And technically, these are going to be summer eclipses because, well, let me see, September 7th is the end of summer. The next eclipse is September 21st. Oh, it's going to be right. I think the autumn equinox is on September 20th, and that later eclipse is going to be on the 21st. That's going to be powerful. Whoa. So we're going to go into the autumn equinox with an eclipse. Wow. Okay, we'll talk about that later. So this really is a perfect time to go in and really clean and clear before this eclipse window starts opening up for the next moon. And again, that moon was going to be at 0 Virgo. That is a powerful, powerful point. 0 is amazing beginnings. That's going to be quincunxing the Saturn and Neptune and Aries. That are retrograding into Pisces. So imagine for the next 2 weeks until we get to the 0 Virgo, what would it be like if you could go back to virgin human expression? And I know that always takes people to the female sexual expression. and whether or not there's been sexual activity within a female or not. Go beyond all that. Let's go ahead and invite in the 0 Virgo energy. That's a moon away from this one. But let's start consciously working with whatever's happening in this moon cycle right now, which was actually exact earlier today in the morning. We're in the throes of whatever this is. Ask that Spirit and the entire company of heaven bring you whatever it is you need to work with for the next 2 weeks, so that you go into the next moon cycle, which is the opening of the eclipse window. Because it's always 2 weeks before the first eclipse. It's at 0 Virgo. Imagine what that is, to go into the immaculate presence of yourself as a divine being. This has nothing to do with men or women. Men and women both have potentials to be born under 0 Virgo energy in the chart. The fact that we're at 0 Aries, around within a couple of degrees, the beginning of Aries, for our new dream and our new structure to the dream. And that's going to be aspecting the next moon. It'll be a challenging aspect in some degrees, but in many ways, we use whatever it is that's coming forth to create. If you're consciously creating, even a quincunx energy is going to assist you in making it workable. What happens if we start working with the astrology only in the highest potentialities? Just because a challenging aspect comes up does not mean your life has to fall apart. It does not mean you have to have difficulties. It does not mean that your life will work through some limitation. You can easily go into deep transcendence with absolutely any single thing that can come into your life as an energy. It does not matter who it is and what it is. The way it will play out will only be limited by your capacity to heal yourself up to that particular point of time. This is always true. The more you give up the structure or the projected and perceived structure that makes up your life, the more freedom that you will gain in your capacity to create in this reality. Give up the box that's been projected onto you and keeps you in limitation. Some of you may be feeling right now like you're in this wonderful air pocket. You may feel like you're not even like in your body. You may feel like you're in a separation from the physicality of your body. I just realized that I'm in my body. I'm deeply embodied, but it's like I'm not in limitation of the physicality of the body at this particular moment. I'm just pure awareness. You can be awareness even beyond your physicality. Some of you mentioned earlier in the call that you felt like you were in an otherworldly place. This is probably what you were feeling. Very otherworldly. In a way, you may not feel grounded to the earth. You're still grounded to the earth, but you're in a place where you're much more detached in a way, and you're not experiencing it from the deep densification in which you have since your inception of birth. Just breathe that in. And again, each and every one of you on the call are going to perceive the energy in a completely unique way. It depends on where you are as a frequency of expression. We're made up of all sorts of frequencies, depending on where we are in the progression of soul. It depends on how much history you're still carrying. It depends on how much leftover karmic densification that you're still here to clear. How deeply are you still immersed in cause-effect reality? Or have you reached a place where you've released so much of it that you feel like you're no longer bound by so much of that distorted physicality? So we've been in our hearts now for, I have no idea the time period, several minutes. It could be 20 minutes. It could be 30. I have no idea. Time is gone. But the point is, we're all deeply immersed in the cosmic heart of God. We are deeply engaged with the central sun, the great central sun, the great great central sun, and so on and so forth, all the way through the center of the Milky Way, which is the center of our galaxy. We're deeply immersed in all of the mother-daughter and father-son universes. Because we are in complete union and communion with all of that, you also have the capacity to feel into all of the different multidimensional expressions that make you up through all of the Akashic records. Because I've taken many of you into this already, and Judith, of course, had taken many of you for decades before some of you, you already have the capacity to go in and feel into and clear out and allow yourself to be cleared, sometimes without even having to go visit the energy directly and immediately, you've been able to clear out so much karmic residue, and you feel so much more completely lighter and less dense. And you've released and healed so much of the pain body because you're no longer carrying some of that deep densification. For a couple of the other newer ones, if you've never had this type of deep meditation before, you'll experience it very uniquely for yourself. If you do sit in meditation for yourself, then this may be a wonderful experience for you, and you may have the capacity to go in very deeply and allow Spirit to go in and shift things for you on the atomic and subatomic levels, so that the molecular structure then has the capacity to function in its highest potentiality from a very deep, healed space. I know many times so many of you will articulate that you'll feel the buzzing, you'll feel the electricity, you'll feel it as it moves through you in waves. You'll feel it moving through your body, through your skin, and it's scalar healing energy. It's wave energy. It's also particulates, because particulates make up the wave. This is the adamantine particles that are coming in from the solar, all the solar stuff coming from the sun. All of this energy is coming in and it's radiating us from the inside out. The more deeply that you allow for the sun to radiate all of your four-body system, that's what really brings you into a much more cohesive, healed space. The more you allow for this integration, not disintegration, but an integration, you will find that your mind, your mental body, your emotion, your heart, the spiritual heart center, as well as the physical, you will feel a complete union and communion within your five-body system, because all of the bodies will be lined up with the etheric blueprint. The deeper you can go into the totality of who you are as a cosmic expression, you will no longer perceive yourself as if there's any separation between you and Mother, Father, God. You will also know there's no separation between you and any other human being on the planet. There's no separation between you and any sentient or non-sentient being on the planet. The trees, the birds, the flowers, the water, the mountains, the lava, the air, all the different layers of the atmosphere, all the different levels of the physicality of the earth mantle, all the geologic configurations and structures. There's no separation. There's no separation between you and any other human on the planet. All of the people that are still deeply immersed in some of the most awful enslavement patterns and programs, there's no separation. What you heal for you, you heal potentially for them. You're holding space for everyone to step into their highest potentiality. Again, when we go in and we are holding space for everyone else in humanity, we don't want to project a value on what that looks like for them. Again, everyone is in their own progression of soul. They're in their each in their own healing journey capacities. It is not for us to place or project a value onto someone else's life expression or the soul journey or the lessons they came here to learn. This is where we really get stuck. It's part of the false distortion, if you will. The fact that we are attempting to project our wants and needs or what we think would make someone else happy or healthy or free. When we project our will out into the field, it's the small egoic field. It's the small I. When you open and hold space for spirit to just come in and work with souls on their own time and awakening of space and time, then we allow for the miraculous to happen for them. It's really perfect that we're doing this on this Aquarius full moon. Because again, what we release for ourselves, we also release in the morphogenetic field. We're constantly informing the field. We're constantly healing the collective field. As you heal you heal everyone else. The challenge, and it really doesn't have to be a challenge, is to no longer let your mind be taken over or overridden by some mental egoic expression that thinks it knows better than something else or than spirit, than the infinite. As you continually merge and allow yourself to go back through cosmic soul merger with Mother, Father, God, at some point you will only be a fluid movement of divine expression. There will be no more personal you that wants to project and control the environment around you. You will have completely left any and all of the distortion patterns that are continually projected out into the field. Through the dark and by the dark and for the dark. Humanity really is at an amazing choice point. And every single person is also at that point. You don't have to have anyone catch up to where you are. You just are where you are in any nanosecond of time. You don't want someone to catch up to where you are because you're not going to be there a nanosecond from now. The only thing that's constant is change. When you allow yourself to constantly be subservient to Spirit, Spirit will lead you wherever you need to go in any given point of time. Spirit will also take you toward your highest capacities and potentialities in creation. It will bring you the highest partnering energy. It will bring you all of the frequency energy that you're currently putting out into the field in any given moment. That is the mirror trick of our reality. Everything is a mirror. If you still have people that are popping into your life that you'd rather not be there, you have to go into a self-reflection yet once again. If someone is still coming into your life, there's a reason. Now, you obviously have the soul groups you came here to work with, which are your birth family and friends, your ancestors, and you're still working with the ancestral inheritance always. Everyone that has already gone through the physical death experience, they're still on the other side of the veil. Some of those are still just you in a different life expression in a different incarnation. So you'll still know you. It's why many times habituated patterns come forth that may have been very predominant in your ancestors' lines, your father, your grandparents, great-grandparents, great-greats before them. It comes through genetic expression. Feel yourself just allowing the depth of all of this cosmic energy to just permeate every fiber of your being, every nanoparticle. And let's be thorough with it. Let's allow all of this adamantine particleization, all the wave energy, all of this solar radiation. Let's just let it go all the way to the core of our bones, the whole skeletal system. Many of you that are deeply sensitive will feel this energy. You'll just feel it deeply penetrate all the way to your core. That's the skeletal system. Allow it to go all the way into the blood, all the way into the circulatory system. Feel it cleaning and clearing and cleansing the blood. Not just in this lifetime, but in every reality that you exist in simultaneously. Feel this energy going into the respiratory system. It's going in through the nose. It's going all the way back down through the lungs. Just take a deep breath and just let it go so completely and deeply, but not just limited to the lungs. Feel your breath go beyond the lungs and permeate the entirety of your physicality. But then imagine and feel this. The breath will go beyond your skin and it's going to go into the field. This is full body breathing. Feel that frequency of just pure the oxygen, all the molecules that make up the air. It's just breathing deeply with the cosmos. It permeates every nanoparticle of your physical expression, as well as the mental body, the emotional body, spiritual, and of course the etheric. Feel all of the adamantine particles just radiating through all the myofascial tissue, all the musculature, all the connectivity tissues of the body. Allow this energy to go so deeply and so completely that it allows for a complete disintegration of anything that is stuck within the muscular system, within the myofascial systems. That means all of the emotional trauma that you've carried, not just this lifetime, but for eons of time. Let this be a multidimensional healing for clearing out all the densification of your cellular structure, of your etheric structure, all the way back to your inception as a human expression. Let it permeate all of the vital organs, the endocrine system, the lymphatic system. Last but not least, let it permeate your skin, the largest organ on your body. This is the organ that everything in the external world of form comes and meets your body in physicality. It's what gets the onslaught of any air that is not pristine, any water that's not pristine, anything in your environment that's not pristine. As you go through all of this, you may feel a tingling all the way from the center of your being, all the way out through all the different systems, through your skeleton, through, especially on the skin. Again, everything is a vibrational frequency. Some of you may be going into such a high vibration state that you feel like your body could just totally blink out. And indeed, that's what many yogis do when they take themselves into such deep samadhi states that they just blink out. They cease to exist in physicality. Judith and I always thought that's what she would do, that she had taken on the physicality of a disease pattern and something that didn't get to go away and heal. And it was obviously part of her divine contract. We each go through different things, and it's balancing out the karmic inheritance, the genetic inheritance. It's why I don't know any advanced yogi, any advanced cosmic being that's gone in and done this work, even Yogananda. They've all gone through death in physicality, even though they transmuted so much here in this physical plane. Perhaps we are going into a place where we will take this body with us. where we won't have to go through the physicality of a death. What happens if that's really true? It cannot happen if you don't feel very deeply in the fiber of your being that can happen. When you just stay in your heart, in the cosmic heart of God, and you allow that energy to come in and permeate you, and you allow it as the purest, pristine awareness possible, you're allowing yourself to heal on the deepest levels that humans have the capacity to have awareness of. When you're in this space, this is cosmic awareness. Almost every one of you here will have been able to calm your mind to the point where anything that your mind used to be bothered with won't bother you anymore. A disagreement with your friends or your family or your coworkers, and we had that nice calming chime. But imagine all of the things that you originally came in that were in your mind, that you held and you worried about. They're gone. If even for a moment you were in the place of immaculate perception of reality, then nothing. You had allowed your mind to empty out so pristinely, and you allowed your heart to empty so pristinely so that it could be so clean and clear for a brand new creation. If you're holding any grudges, if you're still carrying any attachment to the physical world, stuff, maybe it's furniture from your parents, books, belongings from your children. It could be a bed, but maybe a bed that you shared with your spouse. Does it make you feel sad? Perhaps it's time for a new mattress. Why do you carry all of the stuff, the history, when you could just release it? You can't take this physical stuff with you. Judith used to tell me, she says, why don't you burn the photos, all of the photos, 20,000 photos or whatever it was that you and your mom have had all these years. I'm like, well, I can't do that. And I have not. I am trying to get the photos to people that they belong to. But when we look at photos, do photos not capture our energy in essence? Does it not take part of our energy field and trap it in paper? And if so, what does that mean for us on an energetic pattern? I really have had to go into this very deeply. Years ago, it served a purpose to take pictures and to have the memories. And we cherish our memories, of course. But do they keep us trapped and bound into the past? It certainly is worth pondering, is it not? Feel this pristine awareness. Again, each of you are going to perceive this in a completely unique, different way. It depends on where you are in the soul progression. And yet, every single one of you will heal in a very unique and perfect way. Different ones of you have shared that you've had miraculous, spontaneous healing during these calls, or any pain that you felt before the call began felt like it was gone after. This is your personal capacity to personally heal yourself. All I'm doing is bringing in the entire cosmic company of heaven, all the adamantine particles, all of that light. We're just directing it in to allow you to shift and heal. You're doing the healing work. I'm not doing this. There's not a me here to do anything. How many of you just felt so light, just light as a feather in that moment, hearing that? Doesn't it feel wonderful? Now take whatever it is that keeps you stuck. If it's a mental thought, if it's an attachment to anything or anyone or any place or anything, it's highly suggested that you release the attachment. Just put it in the fire with Saint Germain and that violet flame and let it burn completely into nothing. And it does. It completely disintegrates. Now imagine all of the healing that you've allowed to happen for yourself. Just stay in an open, pristine awareness of that and invite that to go out to the entire world, the entire earth, every single human, every sentient and non-sentient being on the planet. And let it go out even beyond all that. Do not place an attachment on it. Don't place a value on it. only the intention of the highest capacity of healing based on where anyone is in their current soul progression at this particular moment of time. By doing that, we allow spirit and that soul to create the miraculous healing for each of them. Otherwise, we're projecting a very limited value on what we perceive to be healing for someone else. Perhaps you're in a place where you can actually track how much of your false reality has just disintegrated within the last 2 hours. I don't invite you to go track it, but many of you will have the capacity to just sit, and you'll realize that so much of what was important just an hour ago, no longer it ceases to exist. Does that not feel miraculous? What if each of you stepped into your own power and you were to do something like this with a group of people of your own? Judith used to do it for all of us, of course, or the ones that were here. Some of you were not on when Judith was, but all I did was just took up where Spirit said, come do this, come play. Each of you have the capacity to do this. Of course, it depends on where you are in your own soul progression. In truth, every human being has the capacity to go in and sit in pure presence and send that out into the world and every nanoparticle around them. And of course, when we come together as a group, we hold an intention and we amplify the field. It is the main reason that we have the capacity to go through such deep healing is because so many attend this telecall. And I know that each and every person is in deep gratitude because they keep coming back and we keep supporting each other in deep spiritual union and communion. At some point, this will probably grow exponentially. I'm not sure what planetary configurations gives it miracle growth. It's always the case. And everything has the capacity to blow up and just be lit on fire and go supernova. You never know when you will go supernova. So now that we've done that, let's do a really deep dive into any last soul retrieval that each of us may need. A really deep dive out into the cosmos. Don't project a value on what that means. Your soul will be drawn wherever it needs to go if there's any specific necessity for a soul retrieval. All you're doing is holding space for yourself and everyone else. Many of you may get an imagery that comes forth from a past life experience that's coming back in remembrance. Some place that you've left yourself in the cosmos and you didn't realize it. So let's just allow ourselves to go where Spirit takes us into, if there's any place that we have to still go retrieve a very vast part of our soul. Just deep dive. Okay, any energy that doesn't feel like it's been processed, just turn that over to Saint Germain and the Violet Flame and let it be just totally released. This has been a really deep and thorough healing session tonight. I hope each of you have allowed it to go in and permeate and clear things that you never dreamed could be cleared. As always, I'll leave the call open for you so that you can continue to stay in this healing space because the energies are active. But I'll go ahead and close down the official part of it and stop recording and all that, like I always did. But you're welcome to stay on as long as you want to bask in this energy and it works for you. Thank you all so much for attending. Again, this really only works, I think, because we have so many people. Because it really does so much more, I think, when we have more people. But always deep gratitude for all of you. Eternal love and many blessings.